So hi everybody. I wanted to talk to you about the power of our emotions. My name is Debbee Radcliff and I am the owner of Creatigo. I recently discovered that emotions are really important, especially in light of what we've been going through as a country, as a world with COVID. A little bit on my background. I am a mix. I've got a foot in both worlds. I am a holistic practitioner and a special ed administrator. So, as a special ed administrator, noticing that it was really important to honor people where they were and how they were feeling, especially as we were going through what we've been going through for the past 1.5 to 2 years. It's really important to honor our feelings and our emotions. So I started delving into it. So I hope that you enjoy my presentation. So I'm going to start off with, what are emotions? Emotions are our reaction to a series of events, how our mind interprets them, and how our body responds. There are a lot of cultural and family ways that we deal with emotions. So I can remember, think about songs that we know, the Big Girls Don't Cry, right? Like the idea of, if you're upset, getting through it, stuffing it in a box and going on from there, or even songs like Happy and songs, that really get you going, but if you're in a bad mood, you don't really feel like listening to. And the way that we as a culture see that when you are in certain situations, you're not supposed to feel your feelings, you're supposed to stuff them down and just move on. And what I found in my own life and the lives of the people around me is that while they were able to stuff them down for a little while, eventually they came to the surface again. And it's much more empowering to move through them, see what they're telling us, and move on. So that comes to the why. Like, why would we want to talk about emotions? Because the old way of stuffing down our emotions is no longer working, especially with COVID and the way that things have been affecting us. We just don't have the bandwidth and the ability to stuff it down anymore. And then the other thing that we need to recognize is that understanding our emotions and what they have to tell us make our life easier. Okay. Actually, emotional awareness is helpful because we're aware of what our body is telling us. It's telling us whether it's something to be afraid of. For example, anger will tell us that somebody's crossing our boundary and they're not keeping us safe. And being angry is a way of getting them to back off. And so many people are afraid of being angry. And honestly, anger is there to keep us safe. So we need to honor that. And then another reason why we need to understand our emotions is because they actually help us to understand the world around us and have social skills, right? So how we interact with other people, whether at work or with our child, really helps us to be more successful in life. So that's another reason why we need to have emotions be important. I also want to address that with kids going back to school full time, social emotional learning is a major component of our going forward. We really need to take the time to help kids process through what they're going through and apply the knowledge and skills and attitudes that they've developed in healthy ways so that they can then move forward. It's part of our natural development to be, I like to call it ages and stages. At different points in your life, you're learning different things. And so the social emotional learning component is really important. I've actually got a quote from the RIDE website, which is our local website, Department of Education website. So the next slide has the cycle of emotion. I just want to put it up here. I got this from a book, a resource, the Onwards book. I put the quote at the bottom. And so it gives us a cycle of emotion and how we respond to it. So it goes, and you can look at that later, but it talks about like the event happens, how our body interprets it, how we move forward it, the action, and then the after effects of the action that we take. This is much easier. I have a copy of it here too. It's much easier to move through this than to stuff it down and interrupt it and then, have it come during a time when it's not helpful. I'm thinking of, there was a time when my husband and I had a miscarriage, and for reasons, very legitimate reasons, we had to get to a once in a lifetime event. And I got through that miscarriage, but didn't deal with all the emotions, and the emotions popped up months later. And I couldn't because it popped up so much later, I wasn't easily able to make the connection between why I was so upset and crying and breaking down over things and the event of the miscarriage. It actually took more energy to figure out and unpack that. So that's why I'm another big arguer for feeling things as we're going through them and being able to label them. So the next slide shows that emotions are part of our thinking. For an example of that, I don't know if you have watched Inside Out. Have you guys ever watched Inside Out? It's a Pixar movie, and these are the characters that they use. So Joy is the one who's in charge of this little girl her emotions, she's in her brain, and she's in her body, and she's trying to help the little girl adapt to moving to a new environment where her dad has been moved to in San Francisco. So she's moving from one place into San Francisco, and she's trying to figure out how to navigate the world, and Joy takes over. Joy decides she's going to make sure that that the little girl's happy all the time, right? And this is a good place to address that all emotions are good emotions. There aren't good emotions and bad emotions. They just are emotions. And so Joy, who's representing Joy, tries to make everything, gloss everything over and make everything positive. And what happens is the little girl ends up having trouble remembering things and starts losing some of her memories, because emotions are also tied into not only your ability to navigate, but your ability to remember things. So she starts forgetting things, and it wreaks all sorts of havoc in the little girl's life. So I suggest that it's a good movie to watch as an adult, and it's also a good movie to watch with your child to discuss different things, and that emotions are okay. And I'm trying to do this quickly so that way we only have a short amount of time. I have way too much information on this, but we don't have the time for that right now. Certainly if you want to get in touch with me, we can go over this more. I'm actually in the process of developing a much lengthier delve into emotions, if you will. Another thing is to look at on the next slide is the idea of emotion families. And in my research, people have done anywhere from 6 to 9 families, and looking at how different emotions are in those families give you information. So I've included this slide also. So part of what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking at 2 emotions. I've also included a little booklet for you to look at that has different emotions on it. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to go, or you can stop the tape, and go and get your pencils, some paper, maybe some crayons. Now that you've gotten your pencils and paper, maybe some crayons, I'm going to challenge you to do this exercise with your non-dominant hand. The reason why we're going to be doing that is because that allows you to get into your body and what your body's telling you, and it bypasses your brain. And so the questions while we're going through this exercise, I want you to get curious about this process. And I want you to rest in the fact that there is no right way or wrong way to do this. That it's just about uncovering things. I found myself that when I was dealing with anxiety, being anxious and being excited, that they're actually, they pop up in my belly, right? And it took me a while to be able to discern between being excited and being anxious, worried. So it takes time, and it's just about being curious. Anxiety was something that showed up to keep me safe, and excitement was something that, excitement's all about, Christmas is something that comes to mind with me being very anxious about that. So be curious about what you're feeling as you're going through these exercises, and pay attention. How do you feel when you're doing the process? Where are you feeling the emotion when you're doing this? And how do you feel afterward? So what we're going to do is we're going to take some time, and your paper looks like this, and I put it up on the slide like this. So the first one we're going to do is peaceful. So I want you to take a second, take a deep breath, and add doodles or thoughts or words that you feel when you see the word and feel the word peaceful. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to draw a bird, because I always think of a dove when I think of peaceful. And see, it doesn't matter your drawing ability. And I feel calm. I'm going to do my thing, and I'll be right back with you. You do your thing. Okay, I'm going to stop here and just show you what I did. So when I think of peaceful, and again, there's no right or wrong answer, I feel at ease, I feel calm, I feel stillness within myself, I get a sense of clarity. And with that clarity, I know how to walk forward in life. There's no frenetic energy. Getting ready to get here today, I was all over the place. My energy was very excited. And when I'm feeling peaceful, I know that this is where I'm supposed to be, talking to you all, and I know how to go forward. It also brings in, this is my very artistic tree that I have over here. Right, and that means that I feel grounded. I feel very much in my own body and knowing what's going on. And when I'm in this place, I can also be aware of others and where they are, and if I can help them, or if I just need to be present with them so that they can have clarity of their own, is a good way of putting that. So when I'm grounded, I can witness other people and their clarity in moving forward. Also my clarity in moving forward in my life, something that I've, maybe stressing over. What I do is I go to the beach, which this is the ocean over here. The other thing that I might be, that I would be tempted to get curious about is, what color is peaceful to you? Peaceful to me is like an aqua blue, or a really light, gentle green. They're like pastel-y colors that are just really, to me, the ocean is when it's on a calm day, on those moments before the sun sets, that beautiful aqua blue that that the water gets with the pink on it. That to me is peaceful. So, and where do I feel it on in my body as I'm doing this doodling of peaceful? Well, I feel it in my core. I feel it in the center of me. It really helps me to feel just truly who I am and empowered as I'm moving forward. So as you're moving forward with this idea of visiting your emotions, pay attention to the colors that come up in your mind. Like, they're pastel-y yellows and oranges when I think of peaceful. They're very, very, very centering and grounding and helping me to move forward through the world. So then the next, in contrast, I wanted us to look at the word fearful, or the emotion afraid or fearful. Because so many of us have been living in that place of being afraid and fearful. So let's look at what that does to us moving forward. So this, to me, I'm more tempted to not use words. I'm more tempted to do doodles with this, right? And I'm really more tempted to do doodles with this. And like I said, nothing's wrong here. But just quickly, this is like lightning coming down. I'm fearful of lightning and the energy that lightning has, and how watching lightning can be a really beautiful thing when it's viewed from the distance, but it can also be something that's very disruptive. It can cause a tree to fall apart, and this lightning is the kind that makes trees fall apart. And this is like, this right here is like, it's like a ball of wire that's all tangled up. And when I'm afraid, I feel all tangled up inside. My energy gets all tangled up inside. It reminds me of when you don't hang now we have beautiful jewelry boxes that we can hang our chains on. But when I was a kid, one of my favorite things to do was to undo my grandmother's chains. They get all tangled up because she didn't have a way to hang them like we do now. And this reminds me of that tangling up of your emotions getting all stuck together when I'm afraid and I'm fearful that I'm going to get hurt. And then this also makes me sad. Makes me very grouchy and very sad. And it makes me want to run. So when I'm fearful, I'm going to put arrows. It makes me want to run. So this is the way of saying I want to run. And that's a good thing, to be aware of being afraid or fearful. It's to be on alert and pay attention so that you don't get hurt with these things. It's also, when you're present with being afraid or fearful, being really aware of what your surroundings are. Is that lightning? This is my fun lightning, remember? Is that lightning something I have to worry about? Is it going to strike the tree near me? Or is it something in the distance that I can admire and it's not going to hurt me? So the afraid and fearful has very important messages for us. It's just helping us to be aware of our surroundings and how we move forward with each other. So I'm going to stop there. You have a book that we've enclosed with you that has, that I encourage you to go forward with using color. We did Peaceful and Afraid, but I've included the other, in this series there's 9 families. So adding other things into here, like angry, which is different than fearful or afraid. Angry, remember I said, was when somebody crosses your boundaries and you need to tell them to leave you alone or back up or respect you. And happy, we're all kind of familiar with happy. And playful and sad. I don't need to go through all of them all. But take the time, and then here's where you can reflect on those questions that I said to be curious about. I've really enjoyed spending this time with you. I hope that it's been helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.